Hi everyone, I'm here with Adam Parnell. He's the managing director of Simple Treats. Let me make sure I say that right. I mean, I see what you did there with it. Yeah, but so Simple Treats, and thanks Adam for being here first of all.
No, thank you. Really looking forward to this, Doug.
Okay, good. Right. Well, just first of all, can you just explain to everyone about Simple Treats? What product services do you offer your customers, clients, and so on? What does it look like?
Yeah, sure. So we are predominantly a dessert business, and focusing heavily on the delivery side of that. What we like to say our purpose, sort of our core focus, if you like, is that we want to deliver moments that create an inner child smile for all of our customers, because we're very aware in the world that we live in now that there's so many pressures from every walk of life, in particular for adults, especially, and we feel that we don't want sort of treats, desserts. They've stood the test of time, really, and we like to deliver really indulgent treats whenever you feel you deserve it, basically. And yeah, it's a really exciting brand, a fun brand for sure. So it's specializing in fresh milkshakes, brownies, cookie doughs, all the waffles, all the good stuff, really, but delivered in a way where it brings a personal touch from so many there's so many big massive business out there which kind of do it, but they don't do it with real love and passion. They do it in a way where it's just about maximizing the bottom line, and we kind of have a real strong focus on real, well, we put a very bluntly, we put portion before profits. So one of my big bugbears is like just when you see big brands just throwing out lots of food and cutting corners, and at the moment we feel like the customers need something that's, when they want to indulge in a treat, they want it to be high quality. They want to see a good portion, and they want it delivered with our own people. So another big thing about the brand is that we use our own drivers. For example, we don't outsource. We have branded uniforms, and we deliver a service at the door. Things like, we put cream on the milkshakes at the door for the customer, sort of thing. So in a world where everything is kind of gone faceless, we're trying to stay very much customer focused and delivering amazing desserts and creating experience, which, yeah, it's got so much more room to grow, really. So I hope that gives you a good kind of overview of where we're at and what we're trying to do.
Yeah, no, that does. Thanks. I mean, so you mentioned delivery. Is that primarily the way that you get your product into the hands of the customer?
Yeah, at the moment it is. Obviously, the pandemic kind of changed a lot of what we know about retail. So yeah, we definitely changed our model. Our model was born in sort of late 2018, 19, 20 sort of thing. So just at the peak of when we really kind of got going, just before the pandemic hit, and it was a blessing in disguise, really. And that trend hasn't changed. Obviously, the high streets reopen and whatnot, but we're seeing that demand isn't going away, and if anything, it's actually increasing even more. So we're seeing that people want high quality delivered to the door now, and competition is vast out there, but it's definitely a route to market that's worked really well for us, although we're not shying away from the in-house experience either, because that has a pivotal role as well. As people are coming, sort of, they still want that experience, but we have to have a real hybrid model now, and we see delivery as paramount for both corporate clients and sort of B2C as well. So we're not seeing that go away anytime soon. So delivery is a massive important part of what we do, but again, we're open. We've got lots of us strings to our bow which we could play on a corporate offering, and also dining experience as well is really important to us, but dining with a difference.
Right. All right. And so in terms of Simple Treats, the business, how did that start originally, and then how did you kind of get involved?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so I'm not co-founder. I didn't initially start the brand. I love the brand, I really do. But I actually started from a friend of mine. I was working for a large FTSE 100 company based in Northamptonshire, and in a sales role there. So and my colleague at the time decided to leave a well-paid job to start his own business, a small bakery in a small town at the time. And I thought it was crazy. To kind of leave his position and take that leap. Like so many young people out there, they've got a really good corporate job, but they're somewhat unsatisfied, unfulfilled. And at the time, that wasn't me. That wasn't kind of the angle I saw myself going down. I used to just help my friend at the time. I would do deliveries kind of thing and just help him get his brand off the ground, really.
Yeah.
And then it was about a year later when I'd had enough of the corporate environment, external sales role. Living in a new city in Lincoln in the UK, and I just saw a gap in the market. I was unfulfilled in the corporate world, and yeah, I reached out to him. He was beginning franchising his small business, and I said, "Hey, look, you know what? I want to slice this. I can see the big gap in the market. It would work in where I am." So yeah, I did that. I took it on. I get the full-time job because being completely brand new to business, you kind of it's scary. There's no doubt about it. Like that, the fear of, God, I'm giving up all the security, the company car, all the rubbish that comes with it, but it's totally worth it. It's totally worth it. So I lived the franchisee kind of world for a good year or so. I left the full-time job and took this on full board, and again during the pandemic as well. So it was great there for delivery. It was the best thing I ever did. And then about in sort of late 2020, and then a few years later, so mid 2022, I sort of the franchise changed hands. So the co-founders kind of moved over, and it was bought out by another franchisor, which was actually really, really good. Some franchisors with much more experience in the dessert game in particular came on board, and we changed the brand, and we introduced new items in the menu, things like that, which was great. But I always felt like I could do more and better myself, sort of thing. So in July 22, I bought a majority share in a franchisor. It wasn't technically for sale, but for me it was. So yeah, I secured that. We went for a massive rebrand. So we changed the logo, uniforms, we've changed core focus, core values. We've changed a lot of things. And then obviously the franchising ops manual, all the rest that comes with being a franchise, that's been done over the last year now. So yeah, that's kind of where we are at the moment. It's been again because I understand the franchisee's pain and expectation as a franchisor is quite a unique position to be in. While a lot of franchisors have a brand, but they take it so far and then just try to franchise out quickly, I've really understood the nuts and bolts, if you like, of the day-to-day life of the franchisee. So I feel like it's really helped me relate to the pain, the excitement of the journey that a franchisee goes through as a franchisor now myself.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. It's rare actually that you have someone who's been a franchisee of a brand then becoming the franchisor. It happens, but it doesn't happen that often. And I agree with you. It must give I've been a franchisee, so I've trod in the shoes of franchisees as a franchisee, and you do start to understand like where things aren't working in terms of communication with the brand, support, the perceptions of support, all of those things, tools, training you're provided, whether it's around marketing or sales or anything else. As a franchisee, you kind of really rely on those things, and where you're not helped, you kind of notice that. And so to stay in the same, if you like, the same kind of column, the same path, with the same brand, and doing that, incredibly helpful as a franchisor. And no doubt it'll make you a way better franchisor than otherwise. So I think that's great. What going back, do you know what led to the decision to franchise the business in the first place? I mean, you might not have been involved in those decisions at the time, but how do you understand that came to be?
Yeah, so I think the brand is very easily applicable in the food and beverage industry in particular. Again, I had a close relationship with the franchisor at the time when he was discussing about we're going to go down the franchise route. Ultimately, their number one ambition was to franchise quickly and to be acquired. Ultimately, which is what happened. They made a sale. So their personal direction was different to what the brand needed at the time, in my personal opinion. So ultimately, it was the route of it works really well, copy and paste it as much as possible, which is where the second franchisor that came on board was kind of a different mindset of that. We need to really hone the brand first before. I think a lot of people struggle with franchising too quickly and growing too quickly. You hear so many horror stories where a business does that, whether a franchise or not a franchise. Obviously, being a franchise, you can grow a lot quicker per se. And it's obviously, it comes from a franchisor's perspective. within reason with less risk to do that. However, the brand reputation can be damaged even more quicker as well if it's done incorrectly. So I think the initial drive to do it was to grow really quickly. So rightly or wrongly for the wrong reasons, I think actually applying the brakes slightly and really honing the model and putting the franchisee first. And also it isn't about just, it's not just about a franchise fee, because that's, yeah, it's great. It sounds great as a franchisor that you're going to get X amount of money for the brand, but it's the ongoing support for me. That's the real value I get out of someone, seeing someone grow, seeing someone leave that world of corporate, whatever, for them to take those first steps and to believe in the brand is massive, and to believe in that I trust you as a franchisor to do this. That for me is far more important than any fee or any ongoing royalty kind of thing. While that's are nice to have once it's established, at this current moment in time, it's just about working with really good people and making that brand more popular and more acknowledged in the UK ultimately, because that's what we're trying to do. We're in a very competitive market and trying to get as many people aware of the brands, but in a really different way, because we can see from our reviews the customers love what we do. So if we can share that quicker, fantastic, but it has to be done in the right way.
Yeah, and so yeah, let's come to the product. Let's come to how good it tastes and looks and all that kind of stuff. And where does that come from? Like how was that developed? How was the product developed, and the range of products, and where did that come from, and how's that maintained now or changed now?
Yeah. So I mean, the product originally came from the original franchisor baking a cake from his mum's kitchen. It came from as simple as that, literally limited equipment. It came from what's in the cupboard. I can whip up a brownie really, really quickly. And then it kind of grew arms and legs from there, really. Say the product at the time, it was all being made on site, fresh every single day, which is fantastic. But obviously, how do you franchise that model out? That's really difficult. So we had to go through quite an extensive process of honing down a recipe. It's one thing I did quite early on when I came on board. I looked at the recipe and said, the quality is there, but it could be improved, and it could be improved by taking away some ingredients which were actually having an opposite effect on the brand and the quality of the products. I think because when the brand initially started, it started in quite a small town in Northamptonshire, about a small place called Corby, if anyone knows that place. But it's a very, very small town. It's quite a working class town as well, and the volume wasn't there really, so they had to make change the recipe to make it kind of work and to be cost effective. So ultimately, as we grew into a bigger city, which where we are now, the quality had to increase, and as did the volumes kind of thing. So we went down quite an extensive route of developing the products to the point where now it can be mass produced, but using a local supplier at the heart of where it actually originally began. So we still use the exact same supplier where the original recipe was developed, and that is now rolled out to all our stores now. So you all use the same products, but we still kept the essence of the ingredients are the same, and the quality is always first and foremost the most important thing. So that's kind of where we go. Like brownies is kind of where the design came from. It's where a lot of the branding was done originally. And then the simple kind of side of it is obviously the sinning, there's the treat, the devil. And the simple feel is that pretty much every product can be made with sort of 4 main components. So it makes it really simple for all franchisees. They don't need baking experience. They don't need to have, I mean, a passion for desserts is important, but more important is a passion to give really good service. And as cheesy as it sounds, as cliche as it sounds, that is number one what's going to make us different in our space. Because again, there's some big players in our space who can mass produce items a lot cheaper than we can. Of course they can, but with that comes its own pain points. And at the moment, yeah, we're finding keeping portions and keeping quality at the forefront is winning right now.
Yeah, no, Adam, you're mentioning the devil. What's your tagline? Because I read it, I've forgotten it now, but it was really cool. What is it?
It's changed over the years. I mean, it's been things such as sinning made simple, but at the moment it's desserts so good that the devil wants them back. So we've had a lot of fun with this sort of fun brand on the sinning and the devils and the kind of thing, without going too religious, because that's a dangerous place to go. But I'm not religious at all myself, and with all due respect, but we can have a lot of cheeky fun with the brand, lots of strap lines, things like that. So the marketing team that we've worked with since I've taken over, Yeah, we've really redeveloped the brand, and yeah, we have a lot of fun with it for sure.
Good. Yeah, Adam, I'm always really interested, like I'm always interested in understanding, like when you had your kind of corporate life, corporate career, if you like, and what at that time did you know about franchising, and when do you think you really knew what franchising was? Because there's
Yeah.
obviously a big difference in thinking you know what franchising is, you're not involved, and then to getting involved. So do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, when I before being a franchisee, it is never like a model I considered. Obviously, you hear about the large brands, the McDonald's, Subways, what it may be, and I think ultimately, as a franchisee, you get excited about the fear of starting a business is this. Oh, but actually, someone can offer this for somewhat of a small fee, to be honest with you, because of the amount of the time and the testing and the failure rate of not being a franchise is so large. But having that turnkey solution was kind of what I thought franchising was, and I wouldn't say a guaranteed amount of success, but there's a much stronger chance of success within reason for that. So I think for me, I didn't know an awful lot of franchising, but I always looked at it as it's a big brand. You're getting a brand, and with that becomes so much power and makes everything so much easier. But the sort of reality of it really is, from a franchisor perspective now, especially after doing this sort of for a full year plus now, is that it's constantly evolving, it's constantly changing, and as much as you feel like, right, we've got it nailed down, we've got the excuse the pun, but the ingredients for a franchise working really well, it's constantly evolving, it's constantly changing, and that's great because it's the franchisee's feedback that's giving you that constant all the time. I think being humble and listening and taking on board what they're saying and what they're feeling in different markets, especially because we're in a very small part of the UK, for example, and as we grow and we develop, we learn different patterns of customer behavior, and better ways of doing what we do currently. So I think dropping that franchisor knows all and knows best, you've got to be open to development and feedback ultimately, because that's what I found more than ever. And our franchisees that we have are key to our success. Ultimately, without them, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be a franchise, full stop. So yeah, it's really important just to be ready to change. And being quite a small franchise, we have that ability to constantly be able to be humble, be able to change, and develop as we go. But because the franchise, it's constantly growing, it's constantly developing, which is really exciting. But yeah, it's constant, I guess, is the best way I can put it.
Yeah, no, it's no, it's right. I mean, we describe it like internally when we talk amongst ourselves, or as consultants, and with our clients. In fact, we always talk about the franchising journey, and the idea of a journey is almost like you sat on a train and the landscape is changing all the time. You're getting off and you're having to adapt to the new situation you find yourself in, whether that's culturally or whatever the environment is. It's just kind of the analogy that we kind of treat franchising as a journey in that way, and you're just constantly picking up ideas along the way and developing the models, and everything else. And so you're at in a way you're at the beginning of a journey in many ways, and franchising can be a long journey. What would you say are the biggest kind of hurdles you've had to overcome, either personally or as a business, so far? There'll be more, but so far.
Yeah, so far, no, great question. I mean, the sort of elephant in the room is the economy, is the kind of where, but all businesses are in the same boat. So I don't like to use that as an excuse at all, because I always see that these sort of times are a great opportunity to grow and develop. I think from my personal experience was that when I joined as a franchisee, I came at the perfect time. I came at a time when there was a lot of help from the government in terms of furlough schemes and kind of what we do in particular, being a delivery model. It was the absolute best time to open a delivery business. We got on the map really quickly, with pubs, restaurants, all that being closed. Delivery in particular, and desserts in particular at the time in our actual area was there wasn't many people doing it. So we hit the market nail on the head really well. However, obviously the benefits that we grew really quickly, which is great. So my expectations are that every franchisee will have the same journey, which is not always the case, especially because, time, I think looking at so we have a new Doncaster franchisee, a great guy called Jack. Really, really, I couldn't ask for a better franchisee, and that's not just me saying it for this podcast. I generally couldn't ask for someone who's as open-minded and happy to adapt to the situation. But I think the challenge there has been he's gone for a bigger premises, and we've changed the model from more of a dining kind of model, because I can see where the trend is going. Is that delivery is really, really important, but it's just staying as a delivery only business also comes with its risks with rising costs and things like that. So we've had to change the model to suit a changing, evolving world. Customer demand is still high and still there. So I think the challenge has been that I personally didn't have the experience to be able to guide him as much as I would like to. From an operations, from a financial, from all the other marketing, all that absolutely fine. But the actual model is slightly different that my franchisee is doing now. And it's going really, really well. So it's all great. So I think changing so much at a time when the world has changed so much has been really difficult to be able to give an exact, here you go, here's the ops manual, follow this, you'll be fine, because things are always changing ultimately. So it goes back to the point I made earlier on, is that's been one of the most difficult things, is that coping with change. And also, we've implemented, when I came on board, we rebranded, we changed lots of things, etc., etc. But we also introduced some new IT systems, new operating systems for the actual store, so POS systems, things like that. And again, that's been a learning curve. But the franchisee has come on board with me, but I've involved him in the meetings as high level as I can do with new suppliers, with our new IT systems, things like that. So he's really felt a part of the brand, as opposed to just being a franchisee with an ops manual to follow. He's sort of had a different experience than most franchisees would have. But I think it's all for the better, because it makes him really believe in the brands and feel part of the team here, which is really, really important. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. But basically, yeah, just the rate of change and being able to consistently deliver that on a regular basis, really. And our next franchisee in the pipeline now, they will have a slightly different experience again. So always improving on that experience. But what can we learn from the shop fit? What can we learn from not getting the signage ready in time, things like that, so the next one doesn't have to go through quite that as much pain, sort of thing. So yeah, that's what I would say, definitely.
Yeah, no, I think the first few franchisees with any model, they're effectively kind of a pilot, and and because they're a pilot, there's a load of benefits that they get. Typically they are going to pay less of a fee because they're coming in at the beginning. They're taking more of a risk, if you like. The big benefit is also that they get to help shape the brand, the model. They get to feedback and actually be listened to. If they're number 50 or 51 or 52, like a lot of it's already been figured out by then. Their input is not really going to have much of an impact on the business. And so if you find the right people, I think it's the best stage of the journey, but it can be the worst. And it sounds like with you, it's a really good part of the journey. And yes, you're always learning. There's always hurdles. You're always tweaking. But as long as the franchisees are on board with that, they're working with you, they understand that you're not the oracle, and then that's really important. And I think that's probably a really good message to get out there to business owners that franchise their business. Don't try and be the oracle at the beginning, because you're not, and you can't be, and you might feel you need to be to give confidence to new franchisees, but it actually is way better to be open and explain to people, we're still figuring stuff out, but we want your help. We want your involvement in doing that, and almost make them seem like a partner, of the brand in more than just a franchise agreement way. So, no, that's really. Yeah, that's really, really interesting. You say all of that, Adam. So, I suppose on the other side, we're talking about hurdles and things, but away from the kind of commercial elements of an answer, where do you look to success in franchising or as a franchise brand? Like what are you, and it could be a future goal of success, or it could be something you see now as a success. But what do you see as success as a franchisor?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we use a business operating system called EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, which we've got a lot of great benefits from. So we set out a 10-year goal, a 3-year plan, and sort of like a 1-year target, if you like. So as a franchisor and a franchisee, because the brands, the two kind of mix together, because being a franchisee still, we have our personal goals for this current store, but also the franchise as well. So they kind of, the water gets muddy between the two slightly, sort of thing. So we've got an ambitious goal as a 10-year target of just as having one in every city in the UK, one in every major city in the UK, which comes to around 50-51. So we've already ticked off 2 of those already. So we continue to grow. And I think it's important having a big, scary, ambitious goal, because it gives you that drive, and it makes the team I've got here, the current store, it makes them believe in a big vision. They're not just here making desserts in a small premises on a November cold evening kind of thing. They need something that's driving that behavior, sort of thing. As great as the team is here and the spirit and things, it needs to be, you want to feel part of something bigger ultimately, which is why the franchisees also feel the same. But ultimately, having a big, scary and financials put aside, the target, it's important to me, but what's more important to me, and it's a feeling that I got as I left the Jack, the first franchisee, was seeing him go from getting his keys, doing his shop fit, learning everything, training him, everything, and seeing him change as a person. That was the most important thing to me, to see him walk away thinking he's going to be absolutely fine. I remember this day sort of thing. It was my God, it was like February. It was cold, rainy evening as we left the store, just as the kind of shop fit was done. And it was like, he was so appreciative of the effort, and seeing that person going from, again, he's a corporate accountant himself, taking that leap, putting his trust and his faith in me as a person, but ultimately the brand, and connecting with his immediate family as well was really important, because I never want, franchising can be scary for someone who you're putting trust in, someone you don't know ultimately. So to have that connection, that bond with him personally and his family, immediate family around that, who were all involved in the shop fit. They was there with paintbrushes, and we did a big brick slip wall. We did all that kind of thing. And that was really important. But walking away and thinking, yes, this person's going to be absolutely fine. And he's going to be, although this next few years are going to be very difficult and very stressful for him, it's all going to be worthwhile. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, is finding people who want to change their current life situation. And, because hand on heart, we've not charged a single penny in royalties yet, because the most important thing is that he goes through a similar journey as I did. And the most important thing is that he's profitable and he's happy with it, kind of thing. So the money side of it isn't important to me in the slightest anymore. The important thing is to see someone change and grow as a person, and really develop a growing business, and offer constant feedback to how we can improve for everyone else moving forward eventually. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, but basically it's more about the person and the individual than it is ever about the money for me at all. That will come as long as we do the groundwork and get the right things in place now.
Yeah, no, it's great. That's the right answer, Adam. if you can have a right answer, that's a brilliant answer. So look, anyone listening out there who might be either themselves interested or know someone who might be interested in a Simple Treats franchise opportunity, if you like, what's the best way of them either getting in contact with you directly or finding out more about it, kind of in the background? Where would you direct them?
Yeah, so I mean, 100% being the face of the brand, it would be absolutely directed to myself. As it stands, our first franchisee, Jack, we did a franchise roadshow, and we met him there, and we grew the brand from there. But the brand's been through such a change in the last year. We've not actively been marketing it to get new franchisee, because again, going back to an earlier point, I don't see the benefit in just growing, because I think if you can't grow sustainably, it's going to ultimately, it's going to fail. So ultimately, yeah, directly to myself. So we're having chats at the moment. I went for a coffee last Friday with a new franchisee who's interested in doing a brand, and that's the most important thing to me, is to understand them as a person, what's going on in their life, why do they want to do this, more than just getting loads of people who are interested and I want to get the right person more than anything for me, because ultimately I want them to be a success. I don't want them to be one of the 95% of businesses that fail in the first 3 to 5 years. I want them to be a success ultimately. So to answer your question, we have social media, we have an Instagram, but also, come directly through to me. Call me at the shop. I don't mind how it is, night or day. Email, doesn't matter. If you're interested and you want to talk and you just want to learn a little bit about it, we can do that. And obviously, we've got things that we can share with you. But ultimately, I would like to start with a coffee. That's, I think, how some of the best conversations always start.
Yeah, I agree. Conversations over coffee. I gotcha. So, all right, okay, Adam. Well, listen, that's been great, and thanks. Thanks so much for your time. And hopefully we'll bump into you at some point. We're not
Awesome.
too far away
Thank
from
you.
each other. So,
Thank you
all
so
right.
much.
Cheers, Adam. Cheers for
Cheers.
now.